Yo, what's going on YouTube? Alex here again with another video. So today I'm going to break down the Nightmare video by the band the Saydes. And so we'll just go through the whole process of how we got to the end product. I'll break down the performance shots, the storyline, the editing, all that stuff. So we'll roll that intro and we'll get right into it. Okay, so here is the whole thing. This is everything. So on video one, I have all the performance shots, and then the storyline shots are the other three videos on top of that. Then I have my adjustment layer. That's where I do lots of the color correction, put these little bars. I'll talk about that later. And for now, let's just start with the actual performance shots. Okay, so first things first, what I like to do is set up these workspaces at the top. So I have a music video assembly workspace. So that just allows me to see all of the clips and be able to synchronize them really quickly and get into it and start getting into the flow and start editing. And what I basically do is watch every performance, from front to back, and just sort of cut out all the good parts and remove the bad parts. And then usually just make a little note of what I liked and what I didn't like in certain things. And then I move it up here into my basically master file up there. So what I really find interesting about these performance shots is mainly like how I lit them. I think that was kind of the cool look to be able to make this look professional. So we started off shooting at night or in the daytime, of course. And I actually did set up the lights the same way in the daytime, but we'll get to the daytime in a second, because I sort of envisioned the nighttime and then kind of left the lights where I thought they were pretty much out of the way. I had a light bar. I had this light bar. I had this one set up as the key light, and that was basically lighting Talon and then kind of, spilling on to the rest of the band members in the background there. But mainly I just wanted Talon to be sort of spotlit, kind of top down, like almost a little bit of a creepy vibe. I wanted that to be like, okay, this is the key light. This is what people are looking at, what they're gravitated towards. And then what I did was add 2 punches of backlights. So I took the GVM panels and I put them in the back behind all the band members. So right here you can see it's hitting the side of his body right there to kind of give it that, give him that look. Yeah, and so here's actually a really good shot because you can see both of them just on the sides here, right there. And yeah, that just gives them a big backlight and just kind of separates them. I also, if you look in the background here, I have one on the drummer. I set up the dark shots like that. I didn't really worry so much about if you see them in the background or something like that, because it was sort of meant to kind of give you like this like work light vibe where they were just, in the shot on purpose. Kind of it intentionally looking like somewhat of a stage. Yeah, so I did the same thing with the daytime shots, but as you can see here, we got the barn in the background, which is kind of giving off the light, the backlight in the same way. So instead of just having those lights in the daytime shots kind of distracting and being pulled out from the background, I had them off to the side here where they were just out of frame and lighting up the side, like you can see right here on the end of his guitar. Basically using the same light, the same principles, and just basically shooting in natural light as well as darkness. And it was pretty successful. I would say that the shots they look really nice and interesting, and they look really professional because of that key light that's kind of lighting Talon, the front man here. Also, to play into the whole like horror sort of scary vibe, I just made sure to shoot everything handheld, so there were no gimbals used in the making of the whole video. Everything is handheld. Yes, I did try to stabilize it a little bit. I used the in-body image stabilization, but I'm also trying to move with the action and make the shakiness less noticeable, because you're kind of following the band members. We have that motion that I was talking about where kind of swaying, kind of going with the beat of the music. So then sometimes you can kind of shake the camera with the hits, something like that. And if you get it right, then you can put that in the edit. But if not, then I suggest just getting rid of it. So then after I pulled all those performance shots, I just added in the storyline, just kind of plopped in a few of the a few of the pieces. I made sure to get at least 2 really good takes of every single action because I knew that this was supposed to be a reoccurring nightmare that he was having. I wanted to make sure I had good shots so I could do it for this intro here, which is everything played fast. But all of these are the same idea, they're just not the exact same take as what's actually in the video itself. That is basically just a nested clip where you can see the sequence just gets faster and faster and faster and faster. So the storyline was pretty simple. You can see all the pieces. So it's just as simple as hitting in and out and then just dragging it into the timeline. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how I structure out the planning to be able to make a story for the music videos that I shoot, just check out the video in the card and I pretty much explain everything there. Let's talk about some of the finishing touches here. So first things first, to make it look more like a movie, I added in these matte bars here. So the top and bottom, it's the crop effect. Just basically put it on there to kind of squeeze it, make it that widescreen look, and give it kind of more of a cinematic feel, if you will. And so that look is just pretty synonymous with what you see in movies, so I kind of wanted to give that feel in this video as well. And then lastly, the thing that really gives it its vibe, its essence, its flow, like all of that really good stuff is the color grade here. First thing I do is always color correct. So pretty much every clip I use the basic correction here and just made sure that all the highlights and shadows and whites, like all of that stuff was reaching the right spot first so that I could color grade and feel confident in the color grade because everything is already color corrected. So the color grade is where the real vibe, the essence, the mood, that's where it all really comes from. So I don't touch the basic correction in that at all. And then I just usually work on the creative. Now, like lots of people slap on a LUT right here, but I'm personally not a fan of just using other people's LUTs. I like to kind of create my own, and this is how I create my own here. For this sort of look, I wanted to go the more film route, the more like movie kind of style. For that, I raised the faded film here, so I faded the look a little bit. It fades the blacks a lot to kind of give it that vintage vibe. And I took the sharpening down because I just don't want that extra digital sharpening. I just feel like if it's trying to look like a movie, it's got that like softness, that characteristic to it. And then here I really pushed up the vibrance to kind of even out the colors, and then the saturation, I just wanted to take it all down. Here's the next thing is the curves. I always like to add a little bit of an S curve to just give it a little more punch. Pretty much every video I do, I kind of add something like this, you know, in a little bit of a way. And then I took the greens and I kind of burnt them a little bit and moved them more towards the yellow. And then I also kind of moved the blues up a little bit here, so they're a little bit more into the teal range. So this is the final thing. This is the real look maker here, and I'll turn it off and turn it on so you can see the comparison. Yeah, basically that's what it was shot like. So still looks good. You can still get the reference. You know where all the light sources are coming in, and you know, looks great. Looks like a properly exposed image, which is good, but it doesn't have that look. It doesn't have that scary horror, that vibe that I'm going for. So to do that, what I did was use the color wheels and match. So this is a really powerful tool, and I recommend that, like, if you're building LUTs or building looks or doing something to create a vibe or in a mood, this is really the panel that you want to be using. So the shadows are kind of dipping into that bluish greenish sort of tinge here. Then the midtones and the highlights are doing a similar thing. So it's kind of burning the highlights a little bit here and bringing it into that more yellowy tone, yellowy range. And if I take that out, you can see right here the white balance is like, you know, it's like more spot on, if you will, which is good. Like that's what you want to shoot it as. But when you're coming into color correction, you're coming into the post work, I recommend getting really comfortable with that color wheels and match. I would love to make a video about that and show you a few different looks, kind of how to create your own LUTs in a way. And the big thing here, and which I really can't stress enough, is that all these performance shots and the whole story shots, it was all shot in 10-bit. So that gives me that extra color flexibility. Not a lot of cameras shoot that are like mirrorless DSLR kind of types. So if you can end up upgrading to one of those, I really recommend it. It does look great, and it looks, you know, it really helps out when you're shooting. Cool, so that's about it. We're gonna hop out of the computer and I'll talk to you guys out on the camera. Thanks so much for checking out that video. I can definitely go back into do another breakdown for some other music videos that I've done. Hopefully I can pull something interesting from those so that you can learn something new. So if you like what you see, gently tap that like button and subscribe if you feel so inclined. My name's Ciprian. I'll catch you guys in the next one. It's like nothing can go fucking right. There's got to be a problem with something. Why wouldn't it work perfectly, right?